Ladies and gentlemen, the next segment of the MICHauto annual meeting, sponsored by PwC, is the MICHauto Awards. Please welcome partner and co-chair of the Automotive Industry Group for Warner, Norcross, and Judd, Tom Manganello.
Good morning. 10 years ago, when we started this organization in its original iteration, and 10 years ago this month, we had our first annual meeting. And it was a little bit smaller than this. It was in a bar. We did follow Robert's rules of procedure, and we had our financial reports and everything else. And then I had the honor of awarding the very first Volunteer of the Year award, because back then we were all volunteers. We had no paid staff. We had a decent budget. But we had a lot of people that were dedicated, had a lot of initiative. Some of them are here. Steve Sealander's here. He's one of the originals. Johan Finkelmeyer's here. He's one of the originals. There were some people from Deloitte that are no longer in Michigan that were involved. Stephen Polk was involved. But there was one guy that just dug in and got a lot of stuff done, and he worked his butt off, and he kept volunteering and volunteering and volunteering, and I gave him the first award, and that was Glenn Stevens. He volunteered so much that we had to put him on the payroll. Thanks to Sandy Brua. I don't know why I was thinking Sandy Pierce. Anyway, so this year I have the honor of, once again, I guess as Yogi said, deja vu all over again, giving out the Volunteer of the Year award. This goes to a gentleman who had a stellar career, or has a stellar career in the automotive industry. He worked his way, even though he went to two schools that I'm not big fans of, Penn State and University of Michigan, having, as a Spartan. He had a great career throughout the industry. Don't shake your head, Steve. And he worked his way up the ranks, became a vice president in charge of mobility at Visteon. He has been involved on the MICHauto steering committee for years. He chaired the talent committee. He shows up, he is involved, he's energetic, he's enthusiastic, and no job is too small for him, and no task is too large for him. So our recipient of this year's Volunteer of the Year award is Tim Yearden. Now, where is he? Tim, we didn't know we couldn't find you. We were worried. So here you go. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you. And first of all, you guys kept us quiet. I had no idea, Glenn, wherever he's at. Truly an honor. And I think when we all look at this industry collectively, there is no better time to be involved in this industry than right now, no matter what aspect you are. And I apologize, I'm fighting a little bit of a cold. But the interesting thing is, we always think it's only for the technical field that this mobility is, but all of us have to be digital, we all have to be technology oriented, and we all have to be involved to move this forward. And I think this is, in my nearly 25 years in this industry, there is no more of an exciting time than right now. So, look forward to many more years to come. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, where did Tom go? Tom, you got to come back up here. You didn't think we were going to talk about 10 years and not recognize you. So let me get the slide up here. Well, so Tom started MICHauto, and a lot of you know that, but many of you don't know that. So for your vision, passion, and commitment as the founder of MICHauto on our 10th anniversary, 2017, thanks for all you do, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
So there's a lot of stories about how it started and where it started. I can tell you that beer was involved in our neighbor's driveway, and Steve was involved, and Johan was involved, and others. But thanks for everything you've done, because we wouldn't be here where we're at. I wouldn't be here, and the team wouldn't be here without you. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Exit stage left. So that's it. Thank you for our annual meeting portion. We really appreciate you taking the time to come this morning to hear kind of the report card of where MICHauto is, where it's going. You can see we've grown a lot. You can see we're doing a lot of things. We're trying to make a difference for this industry. Again, I want to thank the sponsors today. So what you're going to find now when you exit is you're going to find lunch out, and you're going to find students coming in from the tours from around the city. And so we would ask that you mingle with them, network with them, get to know them. You'll find a lot of really neat, inquisitive minds here. We met a lot of them last night. So enjoy the rest of the day. We're going to kick the program back off, but we've got a great program for you this afternoon, and thanks for coming today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a refreshment break sponsored by ITC and the Planet M Discover Auto Lounge. Lunch today is sponsored by Forcia.
When you've been a leader your entire life, you learn how to turn one day into day one. To do it first, to be an innovator, means you may stumble, you may fall, but relentless, you will move forward. Detroiters are born moving. Our wings have a deep history. Our roads pave the way for every future highway of tomorrow. An international hub full of vitality, of Michigan strength, from the global reach of techno and Motown to the powerful rev of our engines. From style trends to technology, Detroit is the starting line of the world's imagination. We are always shaping, moving, cultivating what's next. We are small business savvy and billion-dollar business bold. A state full of 230-foot pine trees and the summer destination of the monarch butterfly. Surrounded by the beauty of Great Lakes. Detroit is always growing, always in flight. We don't wait for someone else to do it. We don't have time to stand still. Not everyone will understand our pace, but the baton was placed in our hands, so we're finishing strong. If this is home, you own the pearl. If you move here, you move the world. Who else to design the mobility of tomorrow besides the most resilient people on the planet? From custom-made bikes and shiny rims, autonomous vehicles and alternative energy. Mobility as a right in diverse cultural communities. Our land, the foundation of collective steel Michigan hands, holding up families, designing possibility, creating space. We are the solutionaries, forging our way toward the answers, a sacred historical place, fearlessly stepping up to the plate. We are infinite possibility, and our future can't wait. Detroiters have always kept this country moving. Our DNA connected to a passionate work ethic, and authenticity we earned from grandfathers and free-thinking mothers we watch with hard hat and toolbox swagger, sculpt art into dinner for our families. Born on an assembly line of artists, thinkers, educators, scientists, coaches, and philanthropists, we are Southern class and clean Cadillacs, humility and matter of fact. We are a century-old farmers market, the heart and soul of this country's future, the steady sound of design and innovation, and a whole other country is just a bridge away. Dream chasers built Detroit. This is the world city. Design here, design the world. Build here, you'll build the world. Create here, create the world. Move here, move the world.
expect those two tracks to just mobility flexible is focused more on systems thinking.
Regional Chamber, Sandy Barua.
The form giving will still be important.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 10th anniversary of the MICHauto program and the 5th annual MICHauto Summit. Thank you all for joining us here today. Now, today is going to be different. If you look around the audience, you'll notice something different about the attendees at this automotive event. It's younger than it normally is. Letting in a little secret. And it's younger by design. Today with us, we have about 120 college students and high school students and even some junior high students who are your potential next generation employees and leaders at Ford and at Lear and at General Motors and all these great companies that are resident here in Michigan. And we invited them here today, not just to listen, but so we can interact, we can talk with each other. We want today to be exactly what the name of this event is, which is a conversation about culture in the auto industry and careers in the auto and mobility industry. And we want the young people here today to talk to the established industry leaders that are in the room and vice versa. So during the breaks, during the reception, and hopefully you just did during lunch, that you guys are interacting because we want you to talk to each other. It's going to be a really interesting event. And what's going to happen on stage here, if we've done our jobs right, is that this is going to be something for everyone. Something for the established folks in the industry and something for our next generation leaders who we are honored to have with us today. Now, this really cool day wouldn't be possible without a whole bunch of people coming together to make it happen. First, I want to thank Rick Rogers and CCS for hosting us here today. Isn't this an amazing place to do it? Here we are at the Alpha Quadrant Center. And Rick's going to be out in just a minute. But obviously, our sponsors. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our incredible sponsors that have made today a success. And a very special thank you to our two diamond level, our top level sponsors. First is the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and their Planet M campaign, which we are so proud to be partnered with, not only for today, but throughout this entire effort that we have to position Michigan as the global epicenter for next generation automotive and mobility. So thank you to the MEDC for being a diamond level sponsor. I also want to thank our good friends at PwC, Ray Talang, who is actually our incoming chair, so he's actually my boss, so it'd be really nice to Ray. And everything that PwC continues to do for and with the Detroit Regional Chamber. We are so excited to have their long-term friendship and partnership. And so thanks PwC and the MEDC for being our diamond level sponsors. And another great company, Denso. Denso has been such a great supporter for so many of the things that we've done, particularly around young people and talent. And they are our silver level sponsors, so please thank our friends at Denso. And we have a whole bunch of other sponsors who are sponsoring various sessions, who help sponsor the student lunch and others, so please thank them when you have an opportunity. So, if you've heard me speak at these events before, you know that I always ask the same thing, and that is share your experience. We don't want the conversation that occurs out there in the audience and up here on stage to stay within these four walls. We want you to share this experience on your social media platforms. So I know all of you brought your extra luggage that has your Twitter machine and your Facebook machine and your Instagram machine. So lube those up, get them working, get them running, and use the hashtag MAS17 and share what you've learned. Share what you think. Share what questions you have. Share an observation. Share a photo. Because this is going to be a really interesting conversation and we want you to share it.
Yes.
Now, as I mentioned, this is the 10th anniversary of the MICHauto program. And I want to thank 4 companies in particular who were here at the very beginning that helped form MICHauto with a completely volunteer effort with 0 staff. It was formed in a garage. And the 4 companies are still with us supporting MICHauto's efforts today. And they are Deloitte, Borg Warner, Goodyear, and R.L. Polk. And all of those companies and the leaders in those companies are still with us today. And I want to give a special thanks to the original chair and still the chair today for the MICHauto program, and that is Tom Manganello. He's we're someplace. Tom Manganello of Warner, Norcross, and Judd. There he is. Tom, stand up. So from that original group of 4 companies that came together 10 years ago in Tom's garage, we have now grown this program to over 100 investors. And those investors represent the premier automotive and mobility companies that are headquartered and doing business right here in Michigan. And we are so appreciative of all of these companies that have played such an important role and continue to fund the important work of this program. And we thank all of our 100+ investors. And when you get a chance, please thank them for everything that they do. Now, if you read the newspapers this morning, you probably realized that we were able to make a little bit of news. And we did a preview with the media last night. So when we announced it at our MICHauto annual meeting, which took place this morning, you already know these numbers. But we made 3 pieces of news. The first piece of news is that many of you have used the number, including myself, of 375 when it comes to enumerating Michigan's automotive and mobility testing, R&D, validation facilities in the state. And then we realized that that number, 375, was a nice number, but it had 2 problems with it. One, we didn't know how it was calculated. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that people have been using that number for 10 years. And we thought, hey, maybe there's a slight chance it's outdated. So our research team, coupled with our MICHauto team, did an extensive research project to really figure out and quantify how many research development and validation sites do we have in Michigan in the automotive and mobility space. And that number is actually 2,200 and growing every day. So that is the new number, and that clearly puts Michigan by and far in the lead in the next generation mobility and automotive space in the country. We are the leaders by far, and it's completely quantified. The second is that we're announcing a new web portal called Driven, and it's going to be at detroitdriven.us. It's not up yet, but you can go to that site and sign up for it to get newsletters out of it. And that's going to be a single portal where we can put all of the great news that is occurring in Michigan's automotive and mobility industry. Because we have an amazing story to tell in this state and this industry, but we lack a single point where we can tell that story effectively, and we're going to solve that problem. So go to that website and sign up for it. And lastly, you're going to get a quick update on it. We updated our perception study in terms of what young people and their influencers think about Michigan, Detroit, and specifically careers in the automotive industry. We did this survey first in 2014. We got some very interesting feedback. We did it again just a few months ago, actually a few weeks ago, and we're going to give you the update on that survey. We've made tremendous progress is the headline there. So what to expect today? Today is going to be this day about conversation. We want you to have a conversation with each other, and we want you to have a conversation with the folks on the stage. And again, I'm going to remind you, please have a conversation with our incredible young people that are here today. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for your support for the MICHauto program, and have a great day. I look forward to joining you. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president for the College for Creative Studies, Rick Rogers.
Thank you. If it hasn't already been said, welcome to the College for Creative Studies and our A. Alfred Taubman Center for Design Education. Really happy that MICHauto and the Detroit Regional Chamber decided to hold this event here. They're a great partner, they're a great advocate for the auto industry, and we're very pleased to be working with them on this event. And I really can't think of a better place to hold an event like this about the future of the auto industry and particularly automotive careers than in this building, because this building played a very important role in shaping the auto industry of the 20th century. And now, under the ownership of the College for Creative Studies, it's again going to be playing a role in shaping the changes that are occurring in what we're now calling the mobility industry. Give you a little background, you're looking at some historical slides of the building. It was constructed in 1928, designed by Albert Kahn. It was the original General Motors research building, commissioned by the president of General Motors at the time, Alfred Sloan. So this was the headquarters for Charles Boss Kettering, the head of General Motors Engineering. And there were hundreds of automotive technological innovations that came out of this building, including the first fully automatic transmission, the V-type fan belt, the engine-driven fuel pump, automotive safety glass, the sealed beam headlight, and many, many more. But there were also a lot of non-automotive innovations because General Motors was into everything back then. Freon, the coolant, was invented in this building. The first room-size air conditioner was invented in this building. And the world's first heart-lung machine was developed right here. Pretty incredible history. This was also the place where the discipline of automotive design was really invented, because it was the home of the first design studio in the auto industry, which at the time was called the Art and Color section. And it was, there you see some of the work going on. It was led by an equally legendary person, Harley Earl, the first true automotive designer in the auto industry. And they too created many innovations that still influence the design of automobiles today. A big one being the use of clay modeling, which was started in this building but still is used in the auto industry. You're sitting in what is really the first design dome in the auto industry. Most auto companies now have design domes with big curved ceilings, so they can look at the vehicles without having shadows cast on them. Well, this was the very first one in the auto industry. There's even a turntable right here by the entrance. This is the place where the Corvette first came to life, and perhaps not quite as inspiring. This is the place where tail fins first sprouted on cars. So but probably most importantly, this is the place where Alfred Sloan's vision of a new model year every year and of vehicles at different price points for different income levels really came to realization. So you could say that what happened in this building helped to establish a paradigm for the auto industry that would last for over 100 years. And the College for Creative Studies, which we call CCS, has played a role in advancing that paradigm for at least 50 of those years by educating many of the best automotive designers in the industry, like Ralph Gilles, the head of design for Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, Joel Piaskowski, who's the head of car and crossover design globally for Ford, Crystal Wyndham, the head of interior design for Cadillac, Earl Lucas, who's the head of design for Lincoln, Kevin Hunter, the head of North American design for Toyota, and Colin Phipps, the head of design at GM Wuling Baojun Automobiles in China. We have over 200 alumni at GM, over 100 at Ford, over half the designers at Chrysler are from CCS, and we really have graduates at every major auto company in the world. And while most of those graduates are vehicle designers, not all of them are. They are graphic designers, interior designers, color and materials designers, interaction designers, animators, sculptors, and clay modelers. And we work very closely with the auto industry to make sure that our curriculum is preparing our students with the skills that the industry needs today. A lot of collaborations with companies. They design projects in they sponsor projects in our classrooms that our students get to experience real-world challenges, and the students get to work directly with the designers from the companies. The relationship is so close that the heads of design for all three companies are on the CCS Board of Trustees, as is the recently retired head of design at GM, Ed Welburn. And I think it shows the importance that the industry attaches to CCS and the way the industry depends on us to provide their creative talent. And really, it's not generally assumed, but the auto industry has a huge need for creative talent, and CCS is one of the biggest suppliers of that talent. And I think the need is only going to increase in the coming years, and here's why. That 100-year-old paradigm that I spoke about before is changing. As you've already been hearing today, and as we already know, new technologies, new societal needs are changing it, and the auto industry is really in transition to a new model. And once again, we think that what goes on in this building is going to help to determine what that model looks like, because design is going to play a very important role in shaping the new paradigm. We're educating designers who are going to do that shaping right here. And we're also looking at how design education has to change in response to the changes that are going on in the world of transportation. So, for starters, we've introduced a new track in our transportation design department called mobility. We now have 3 tracks in that department. The first one is automotive, and that's the work that you're seeing on the screens now. And that basically involves the design of cars and trucks. The second track is vehicles, which is essentially all vehicles that are neither cars nor trucks. We are educating students to design all kinds of vehicles. And then the third track is mobility. We don't think those first 2 tracks are going to be superseded by the new track or by the changes in the industry. Form, aesthetics, emotional impact, usability will always be important. And the world is going to continue to need all kinds of vehicles. So we expect those 2 tracks, automotive and vehicles, to remain strong for as far out into the future as we can see. The mobility track is focusing more on systems thinking. Mobility design is more about systems integration than strictly about form giving, though form giving is still going to be important. Mobility designers are going to have to draw on many more disciplines than typical automotive designer has done in the past. Engineering, sociology, communication, urban design are all going to be part of what the mobility designer is going to have to be conversant with. They're going to have to be able to do deep research. They're going to have to test many solutions, do many prototypes, and work directly with many kinds of professionals. So it's going to require a higher level of communication skill than these kinds of professionals have ever had to have before. And if we move away from an ownership model to a model where transportation services are shared, designers are going to have to take a whole new approach to understanding user needs and the user experience. So inclusive design, which is design that addresses the needs of everyone, regardless of age, physical capabilities, geographical location, or income level, is going to be exceedingly important going forward. And the users themselves are going to become part of the design process very early. So designers are going to have to think about a lot of factors that they probably never had to think about before, like what's going to be the effect of continuous usage of a vehicle? How are things going to be rapidly serviced so they're not off the road for a long time? How are we going to keep shared vehicles clean? What's going to be the infrastructure that surrounds these vehicles? These are all questions that designers are going to have to play a very major role in solving. They are problems of very large dimension, what we're now calling wicked problems. So we at CCS are taking all these concerns into our thought about what the new mobility curricula is going to look like. We're also taking mobility-focused projects into our classrooms. For instance, we've just done a project with the Seoul Design Foundation in Seoul, Korea, to envision future mobility solutions for that gigantic city. We're working right now with Ford on a project called Detroit Equitable Mobility 2030, which is an interdisciplinary effort between our graduate program in integrated design and our graduate program in transportation design. We're also involved in a 3-city project sponsored by Michelin that involves Detroit, Saint-Étienne, France, and Montreal, called the Last Smart Kilometer project, which comes out of Detroit's recent designation as a UNESCO City of Design. And we think that being part of the UNESCO City of Design is going to lead to a lot of international collaborations on these kinds of issues. So just as the tasks ahead for designers are very big, the challenges of designing the educational programs that are going to prepare those designers is just as big, and we're really up for it, and we're very excited about it. We think the auto companies and all companies in the mobility space, as well as local governments that must adopt mobility systems, are going to have a huge need for designers, and the opportunities for designers will be greater than ever. So it's really a great time to pursue a design education, and we're going to make sure that the best designers for these new systems come from the College for Creative Studies. Glad you're all here. Thanks very much.